What's up, you guys? This is Devin with CFXTV Studios, back with another video. If you guys haven't caught my Manfrotto video about this 1004 BAC stand or all the BAC stands from Manfrotto, check that video out. It's amazing. It tells you all about these amazing stands that I've had 5+ years, and they save you money. They're easy to sell, and it's easy to find replacement parts for it, so you're never left in the wilderness with these stands. They're tools that help you help yourself evolve as a photographer. Trust me, they're like $160 for these and cheaper, but I wouldn't pay that much for a stand unless I knew that it worked out well for me. Now, these are cheaper stands.
Let's get knee deep into specs here. Now we have the Flashpoint on the left, Manfrotto on the right. Now most people to the naked eye would think, oh, it's a light stand. A stand is a stand. There's no difference. Actually, there's big differences in between these two stands. And stands don't get a lot of play when it comes to what should I buy next. It's always the camera, the lens, all these things that are glamorous. But the stands are not glamorous, and people don't know the difference of the stands, and that's why we're talking about them today. But in contrast, the Flashpoint is actually in a different class than the Manfrotto stand here. As you can see, they're both 4-section, 3-riser stands, but the stand weights are completely different, where you have 4 pounds on the Flashpoint side and you have 15 pounds, almost 16 pounds on the Manfrotto side. And this will definitely change exactly how you're going to transport these things, who can carry them, why they need to be carried. And if you don't like heavy stands, you probably don't want that Manfrotto around you. But at the same time, if you got heavy equipment, you're going to stay with heavy equipment. That kind of is how the video and photography side of things works. Going to min and maximum heights of these stands, you have 41 inches to 114 inches on the Flashpoint stand, and then you have 48 inches to a whopping 144 inches on the Manfrotto stand. This is one big factor that takes these two out of range with each other, the height of the stand. If you needed to get something over a crowd or something like that, or like a microphone or anything higher than average, you would use those Manfrotto stands. But Flashpoint stand can pretty much go the height a little bit over a person's head, but not much. And so if a piece of equipment needs to clear somebody's head safely, probably won't be the Flashpoint stand. And the higher you get your stand, the less leverage you have. Even though that's a positive for the Flashpoint stand, the Manfrotto stand gives you the ability to get it that high, but you lose leverage. So you might want to have sandbags or leg weights like I use to keep that leverage. Also, the payload, what they can carry. The Flashpoint actually does a really good job and give you a payload of about 16 pounds, whereas the Manfrotto also doing a good job at 20 pounds. But this is a good showing for the Flashpoint light stand because it's in aluminum, but it's very compact and small for its size, coming in at $45.95, somewhere around $50. And then you have the Manfrotto stand somewhere around $165, $163. Huge price difference, but these stands do different things. They're not an apples to apples comparison. They do different things for different products that are heavier. So chances are, if you're investing in those heavier products, you're going to want this heavier stand in the Manfrotto because it's safer. It keeps your equipment working well, not falling over, not being hit by any clients or anything like that. Liability, insurance, all this stuff is very, very important when it comes to light stands, but light stands don't get no play. Nobody cares about light stands that much because it's not the camera or the lens or what gets advertised. So that's why I had this video out, guys, to show you exactly how these two stands spec up against each other.
These are the Flashpoint aluminum air cushion stands. They're aluminum, and they don't really, technically they compete with Manfrotto, but compete on the cheaper end of Manfrotto. Like, these are like, I want to say $40-$50, where these would be like $100-$150. You see what I'm saying? So depending on what size stand you get, most of them are exactly the same. Now they have a 13-inch stand, but I think this is like the 9.5-inch stand with 3 risers, 4 columns, 3 risers kind of thing. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 3 risers, 4 columns kind of thing. 3 risers, 4 columns on this side as well with the Manfrotto 1004 BAC. The specific model number for this Flashpoint is S9YL, so FPL S9YL. But let's go over the pros and cons of a cheap stand versus an expensive pro stand. Now, pro stand, of course, build quality is there. This build quality is decent. Like, these are stands that I would keep in the studio. Like, this is one of my studio stands. Like, it's here, it works. I don't have to worry about it going out. It works. Nobody's really going to be knocking it down, and I don't have to put a sandbag on it because I don't put heavy stuff on it. This, on the other hand, I'm taking it everywhere. It can go in the studio, outside the studio, all these other things. The screws stay in place. They don't wiggle out when you start driving. Make sure you tighten them up, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about the screws wiggling out, whether it's the Allen screws right here or whether it's a riser or the bottom screw down here. None of it ever wiggles out. Now, it might be loose when you pull out the bag if you forget to tighten it up, but it doesn't, like, car bumping around, going over hills, all sorts of stuff, speed bumps, all sorts of rocks and everything like that. These screws will not back out on you. And you won't be looking or wondering where your screw is and you can't raise up your light because there's screws in there. This one, screws are going to back out on you after a while. Now, that's not the biggest deal, but they tend to back out on you a little bit. If they don't back out on you, when they get really cold and you crank them kind of hard, you can snap them really easily. And I was out and I was in weather that was, the weather it was super cold. But, and I'm pretty sure in the manual it says, don't bring your light stands out here in this cold weather. But this stand has always lasted me the test of time. This stand, I got the 13-inch stand. And I only took it out like the third or fourth time, but we were at a high school football game, cold outside, playoffs. We didn't know we were going to get to the playoffs, so I'm excited. Next thing you know, I go to crank my light stand to get this microphone. I had a Tascam X6 in which I put it. I promise you, I snapped it. And I couldn't even feel it because it's so cold outside. So the last thing you need to do is show up to an event, even though this is sturdy. These are pretty sturdy. These are great for the price. I'm not here to bash Flashpoint because I love these so much, but they will fail you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Now this one's slightly lighter weight than this one, but this one's a little bit taller, so compensate how you will. But I like the colors on this one. Say, for example, you're working in a high school environment or around some people who run around the gym or something like that. You can't control it. Kids, I don't know. Having a nice fluorescent colored stand can keep a football player from running into your stand, or a basketball player if you got strobes on the field, or in a gym you're doing sports photography for a school, anything like that. So you got to think about it that way. Having fluorescent looking stands will keep people from running into your equipment. Even if you're doing corporate stuff, corporate headshots or anything like that, having stands that look bright, you can get an orange one, you can get a red one, it makes sense because when it comes to insurance and anything that you might be liable for, the first thing, my stands are colored because if you get sued for stuff like this, my stands are colored, they're weighed down with the sandbag that I told you guys in the last video when I was reviewing these. Anything that can help you win a lawsuit, you want to keep. So these would save you in a lawsuit maybe, or they will help you out. These will help you out in a lawsuit or keep you from having a lawsuit. It's kind of like that wet floor when you go to that wet floor sign when you go to a store, right? But think about all these things that you don't think about when you go to purchase. You don't think about, will somebody run into the stand? You have to be experienced to understand that. Buying stands like these with the color code, you can buy a blue one, you can buy an orange one, all this stuff can save you. Also, it can help you keep your stands organized. Maybe you have a main and field light that you want to keep yellow. You want to have all your background light stands. You want them to be colored blue or purple, whatever colors they have, but you can help organize your thoughts. Because when you start to get into strobing and lighting with multiple different lights, the light stands all look the same, everything looks the same. Anything that can give your brain some relief, and you can immediately look into your bag or anything like that, having something color-coded really helps. It helps with editing, it helps with equipment, it helps with anything. Because you don't need to be spending a lot of time doing the same thing, sorting through light stands. I got this big light stand, but it's black, and I got this small light stand, and it's black. Manfrotto does not offer you any of those color-coding light stands. The only thing you're going to get is some nice red and black Manfrotto branding. But if Manfrotto can at least make the light stands red on this part, and this part, and maybe keep us in the know about, you know, at least having the people around us know exactly what it is, and it's a stand, and you don't want to be running into it, it attracts more attention. That helps out a lot. One thing that I love about this Manfrotto stand, like I said, it has this slim design that clicks each stand into each other. So I can click 3 other stands, and it can close up, and I can have way more room in my car, way more room in my bags, and I can put all 3 of those light stands into one bag. These stands, however, come with bags that look like this, and they're meant for 1 stand per bag. As a photographer, I don't want to be walking around with a whole bunch of bags, especially as an indie filmmaker. Manfrotto has a large selection of bags, and I can fit all 3 of my Manfrotto light stands in this bag, and I could probably put something else extra in there. Now, even though this bag is pricey, even though that bag is fancy and pricey, I know what I'm paying for because I have the convenience, and that bag's gonna last me like a lifetime. Stand's gonna last me like a lifetime. This won't. This won't last you a lifetime. You gotta have more inconvenience. Also, at the bottom here, sorry, I clamped this, and the tube is a little bit bent, so it takes me a second or 2 to collapse this. But at the bottom here, it's shaped like a triangle instead of flat. So I can only put, where I could put 3 bags in that Manfrotto, I could put 3 light stands in that big Manfrotto bag. I could probably only put 2 in there safely. And those 2 are not clasped or locked together. So that means when I'm driving in the car, I can hear a whole bunch of stuff clanking around, bashing into itself, bashing into another one. Next thing you know, I pull it out. It looks like my light stands were damaged in some kind of big photography accident. And then I go to sell these stands, and I can't get no money for them because nobody wants their stands to be looking like it got caught up in an accident, just because I couldn't store them the right way. And these stands get a lot more scratches on them than these stands do. Now, to be fair here, I'm actually pretty rough on my stands. I go in heavy, you know, I probably put the snow, rain. I probably put them in a whole bunch of different places where most people won't put them, or intense situations where I won't put, and they get banged around a little bit. They're stands. They're meant to take a little bit of rigor, but you gotta understand that the cheaper stands just won't stand up to that. And that's what this stand is. Now, one thing I do like about this stand is that all of the Flashpoint stands have this little reverse spigot adapter, 5/8, 3/4, quarter 20 thread, this kind of thing, and you can put it like this, you can put it like that. You can face a light down, you can put something, you can maybe adapt a scrim to hold 4 lights when they all. No telling what you can do with these possibilities. But with this expensive 4001 BAC stand here on my left from Manfrotto, you can't do that with this one. You have to, and they come with this adapter, but you have to turn the adapter on there, and it has this little pointy part at the top, that's the adapter, and it adds some extra height onto this, where this one, actually, you could just subtract height from this. If I needed to get it into a bag, it wasn't fitting, or one of the stands didn't collapse, or one of the sections or risers didn't collapse, I could actually save some space. Whereas this is always like this. As a matter of fact, it's even worse because with this one, when you put that little adapter on top of it, not only is it weak metal, but it also is sharp. When I go to put my equipment up, the last thing I want to do is be around something sharp. Sometimes I got to be around cars when I put my equipment up, and daggone, I don't want to crash nobody's car, or I got to put this in my wagon, I don't want to poke anybody in the side, or if I put it in my bag, I don't want to cut a hole in my bag because this adapter is so sharp. You see what I'm saying? Not this, but the actual, not this part, but the actual adapter that I don't keep on here at all. I don't even keep up with them. I don't even know where they are because I'd rather use these stands if I needed to put like a mic on there or something like that. If I'm putting a light, I'm putting it on this stand. I'm not putting it on this stand for the most part. A speed light, yes. But I probably won't be putting my Flashpoint 600s on this stand. It's going to fall. Let alone putting a modifier on those big lights and then putting it on this stand. This stand, those spiders, is fall right off. Now, I can put, you know, those weights on there, but at the end of the day, guys, pick your poison. I keep both of them, these as a backup, these as, my mains when I go out, but these I tend to like to keep in like a studio environment, whereas these I can take anywhere. I never have to worry about them. I just know that it's that slight inconvenience with the 1/4 thread and getting other things mounted onto them. So at the end of the day, guys, pick your poison. This is a cheaper Manfrotto. You can get like 4, maybe y'all get like 3 of these for the price of 1 of these. But this will outlast this. This is funner to use. It works, but you can't put everything on top of this. You can only put like small devices on top of this. You can put pretty much anything, lights, anything on this. So pick your poison. I went through the pros and cons, the comparisons and contrasts of all of these. I'm Devin with CFX Studios. Links in the description below. Tell me which one you like. Do you have this stand? Do you have this stand? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.